Hey folks, how you doing? Um, I have a video here I think would be interesting. Okay. Um, it's called Asar, Lord of the Natural Order. Okay. So Asar is the Ausares, like in Ausares and Isis. Uh, uh, okay. The original name was Asar, Ausar. Okay. And his wife's name, or sister, was Auset. So now you see, there's a scene with Asar stretched out on a bier, like a dead man. In fact, they say he's dead, you know. But he has a hawk head. It has to do with resurrection and perception, increased perceptual capacity. The hawk sees very good. Okay, but anyway, they say he's dead and he's laying out there on a bier, you know. But was he really dead? Now, with these here icons, these drawings, these pictures, these images, they usually have a cue, a hint. Something tells you something about this, you know what I mean? So, anyway, what they have here in this drawing is what they call the ba. It's a bird. Well, it's a man's head in a bird's body. It's like the soul or spirit, okay? Each person has one, all of us. Okay, but we see it hovering about, and that's what the ba does. Okay, all right. And then there's another hint too. There is the god Anpu. The Greeks called him Anubis. He's he's like he has the dog's head. Okay, on a human body. So Anubis or Anpu is associated with embalming, to embalm. When you embalm a person, well, you keep them still. You know what I mean? Keep him in a stupor. So these things tell us that the god Asar wasn't dead. But now, his wife, okay, Auset, wants to have a child, you see. But he's in a stupor. And so Isis or Auset and her sister had her, okay, which means the house of Heru is the son that she's going to have, Isis. So anyway, they start singing and chanting and dancing, telling the god to come forth, to wake up, so he can fertilize the field. Well, what field? Her field. She's the one who wants to get pregnant, right? So that he can fertilize the field. He said, "Come to thine wife." You know what I mean? Your two sisters are here. That is Auset and Nebhet had her. Okay. And so they want the source to come forth. Okay. So that Auset can be fertilized. And so they sing and they dance and they chant. And they, in their singing and dancing, they refer to the god Ausares as God An or God An, spelled A-N. Okay? Well, we get an idea about what this An means. Okay? Well, An or An is the cycle or the ending and beginning of a cycle. Okay? And so the cycle here we're concerned with, okay, is, let's say, the cycle of reproduction. This tells us that the ancient women, okay, produced according to a cycle. It could be a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, okay? But it was time for him to come forth and fertilize her because she now had reached her cycle of reproduction. The time for her to reproduce. Okay? So now he comes forth and he fertilizes the ovum and she conceives. Okay? She conceives, but she doesn't deliver the child. Her sister does. Okay. But her sister, then we'll call her, her, or Nebhet. Nebhet is the lordess of the house. And had her is the house. Het means house of Haru, the child. So Isis doesn't, or Auset doesn't deliver, but her sister does. Her sister, okay, gestates and delivers and nourishes the child. So they call her the wet nurse or something like that, the nurse, something like that, okay? But this here speaks of something interesting. It speaks of the surrogate mother. The mother conceives, but in these days, the doctor or the doctors would take the fertilized ovum and inject it into the womb of another woman. Well, these things happen probably pretty often these days, okay? But just to mention that, okay? So anyway, they continue on, and Nebhet receives the fertilized ovum, and she carries and gives birth to the child. But how come there's two of them? These two are one. They're actually the same person. But the mythology, as it comes down to it, says two people. Okay? Now, we see now that during the olden days, or like our first ancestors, Isis or Auset and Nebhet, they represent this. The mythology is representative. The mythology represents what happened in very, very ancient times. Okay? So it's telling us that these folks, in the early days, okay, produced according to a cycle, a season. It was a seasonal thing. Okay, like I say, it could have been 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, etc. Okay. And this is why she was dancing and chanting and telling her husband, Asar, to wake up, to come out of that trance. Because she needed to be fertilized in season. Okay. So now, we see now here that she is causing him to come forth. That's what she was saying. Come forth. But what does she really want? All she needed was the semen, so that she could be fertilized. So she's like causing him to come forth and fertilize her, since the dancing and the singing and so forth and so on. This tells us that this is what the ancient female did. When her season came to reproduce, there was no man. Back in those days, it was just the female. But she had her own semen. So Ausares then is a part of her. This Ausares here is her male reproductive system. These three are 3 in 1. Nebhet, Auset, and Asar. And it's the female, Isis, who does the calling forth. She calls the shots. Okay? Now, I want to come up with the word a she. S-H-E. So, if we separate the S from the he, we get S and we get he, which is the male. But the word she is female. So this tells us that the he is contained in the she. As far as the word she is concerned, it is. But that S is causality. It causes things to happen. It causes the male to do something. You see? And in English language, she. The S is the S of causality. It causes he, the male, to do something. So we have words, and some words in the languages tell the story, okay, what the mythology is telling. All languages probably have this. English. She is English. Okay. But anyway, what does she cause the he to do? To fertilize the ovum. But they're together. The he is in the she. He's a part of the word she. This means that he, the male, is in the female. The early females, okay, fertilized their own ovum. Or like androgynous, you see. This is what the mythology here is telling us. You see. And when she was calling her husband, Asar, to wake up, she's talking about her reproductive system because the season of reproduction was there. It had come. And so she's got to wake up her male reproductive system within herself so that she could fertilize her own ovum. It's what it's telling us, you know? And that has took the word she to help us along with understanding this. But we remember that mythology is representative. It represents what ancient humans did. It represents what humans can still do today. Very few of them do. Today. Okay. But when things change, the female, she needs an impetus. And change will bring that impetus along. It will, cause her reproductive system to go back to the way it was. Change. And the environment, something like climate change, might very well do the job. But remember that Auset and Nephthys, or Heteru, or whatever, she danced and sang and chanted, hence formula. You see, if women today had the correct formula, they could produce her own. She could produce her own semen. That's what they could do. It's a matter of formula. It's a matter of knowing how to do it. But like I said, sometimes a crisis, a change in the climate can bring this on. Because the human body will recognize this change. Even if the female is not conscious of it, the body will be conscious of it and will start producing its own semen. That's the female body. And start producing her own semen. And when she reproduces, she will reproduce her kind. That is an androgynous type woman. And this means that we change back, revert back. What's in the beginning will be in the end. Something like that. But these things occur in cycles. It's going to be a change, no doubt about that. But when it does, it will last for maybe 300,000, 400,000, 500,000 years, etc. And then it'll change back again because we live in a cyclical world. Things occur in cycles, everything. Okay, so we have an idea now about this scene with Ausares laying on his bier and his wife trying to get him to come forth. We have an understanding of that now. Okay, folks? Have a good one, and I'll be back with you soon, I hope. All right, bye-bye.